Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. And boxing, find a way to win, find a way to lose. I just wanted to take 5 quick minutes for those of you who truly appreciate the sport of boxing and who like to know kind of where the boxers in different weight classes currently rack and stack. I know a lot of times people just want to watch the videos. They like to hear the drama, especially non-stop drama about Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford, but my channel isn't about that. I do like to talk boxing probably 70% of the time, 30% of the time we can have fun with it. This is one of those times where we're going to talk boxing. I'm not going to ramble on, short and to the point, because I know sometimes this can be a bit mundane for people. But nonetheless, I think it's educational. So when you take a look at the heavyweight division, the rack and stack, as far as how the ring ranks the fighters, you know, Usyk is the big dog right now. You got Fury, Wilder, AJ, Joyce, and Andy Ruiz at number 5. Then you got Dillian White, Luis Ortiz, Parker, Hrgovic, Sanchez. The one thing to draw from this is when we sit here and we look at what's going on with the heavyweight division and the fact that they're planning, right? And remember that rumor is snowballing. There's plans to have Wilder, AJ fight, Usyk and Fury fight. And what seems to be a kind of like a 4-man round robin. There may be more fighters added to that, but the 4 names that have been thrown at us are the ones I just mentioned, with the winner of each fight going on to fight for all the marbles. More to come on that, but we know it looks like there's something that's supposed to be taking place in Saudi this December. And one of the stipulations in making this happening was that the fighters, they could not fight until December. So this was something that had to be agreed on. Now, there's a lot of rumors flying, but what I'm giving you is the latest and greatest. I'm not making this up. You'll know when I'm giving my opinion on something. You'll know when I'm joking. What I'm giving you guys right now are facts, right? Supposedly there's an agreement. There was a stipulation where they had to agree to not fight until December. Now, the one person out of all of these guys who have pretty much said he guarantees a win was Alexander Usyk, because he has a mandatory, and the secret society and them sanctioning bodies don't seem to be quite wanting to be understanding of what the hell they have going on out there in Saudi. So he's being forced to fight, but he wants to be active. And my understanding is he's the only one who's going to fight before December. So all these rumors about Tyson Fury, fight Andy Ruiz, and all this craziness. What I'm telling you right now is all of that is, from my understanding, is no longer happening. The only one out of the 4 names, Usyk, Fury, Wilder, Joshua, who's going to be fighting before this December 4-man round robin is Usyk. Now, if something changes, don't come say, hey, look, Hood Champion didn't know what he was talking about. You know this is boxing. Change to the change to the change to the change. Okay, continuing on. I really don't know what else is going on with these other fighters. We know there's a lot of movement, but let's take a look at the rack and stack for the WBO. Usyk is the man. Joe Joyce has a piece of the title. Andy Ruiz is ranked number 1, and you can see where Frank Sanchez is and Otto Wallin. Now, when you look at this, you can see Otto Wallin is moving up and Frank Sanchez is moving up. Now, when you come over and you look at the IBF, which is the column right next to it, you see Flip Hrgovic. He's holding his ground, man. He wants to fight for a title, and he's not going to take a step-aside fee. So he's going to probably sit there and be inactive until he decides what he wants to do. But he's going to have to do something because he's been out the ring for a while. You see where Andy Ruiz is positioned? He's in a great position at number 3. Number 2 is vacant. And then you see where Wilder is at number 4. Then Joshua and Sanchez. You come over to the WBC, Deontay Wilder's ranked number 1. And you can see Andy Ruiz is number 2. And you come over to the WBA, Deontay Wilder's ranked number 1. This guy, Bakoli Alunga, Anthony Joshua, and then Peril. So that's the ranking stack, and I'll go ahead and let y'all take a look to see what the rest of the list looks like for the WBA, for the WBO, IBF, and WBC. Okay, let's move on down. Now you got the cruiserweight division, which I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know much about a lot of these guys here in the cruiserweight division, because the cruiserweight division, they really don't have any standout fighters. I will tell you that Okoli is a name I'm familiar with. We all know Badu Jack, and then Makabu, his name has been floating around a lot ever since he was supposed to be fighting Canelo Alvarez, but Jack just beat him. So it is what it is. But when I look at this, I'm gonna tell you right now, Badu Jack has a piece of he has the WBC title. Okoli has the WBO. You got Opadia, maybe mispronouncing his name. Seems like a Samoan. And then the WBA is Arsen Gulamarian. When I look at the cruiserweights, hey, I really have no idea. The one thing that jumped out to me about these cruiserweights is Sergey Kovalev is a cruiserweight now, and Sergey Kovalev is ranked number 4 by the WBO. He's ranked number 6 by the IBF, and I believe Sergey Kovalev is ranked in another. I thought he was ranked in the WBC. No, he's not. So Sergey Kovalev is only ranked in the WBO and IBF. And I was surprised to see him ranked so high since he hasn't really been, that active. But I think the two takeaways from here is when it comes to the cruiserweights, I think these are guys who just can't cut it at heavyweight. And that's really how I feel. But at the end of the day, Badu Jack, for him to move up and get a piece of hardware, good thing. Let's move on down here to the light heavyweights. Now, this division here, man, is extremely interesting, and it's extremely sad at the same time, because Bivol and Bertabiev, those two together, have all the hardware, and they're not being allowed to fight for undisputed. So anyway, you got Bivol at number 1, Bertabiev number 2, you got Caleb Smith at 3, Ramirez, who to me shouldn't even be in this ranking, because Bivol just tore him out the frame. Smith Jr. at number 4, Yardy at number 6, Boatsi at 7, Aziz at 8, Richards 9, Eifert is 10. But when you come and take a look at the ranking stack, you can see under the WBO, Joe Smith Jr. has gone down a spot. Dan Aziz moved up 3 spots to the number 4 position. Andre Durrell has gone down 1 spot. Anthony Yardy's gone down 1 spot. This is under the WBO. But what I found to be pretty interesting is that they still have this Gilberto Zudo Ramirez in there. And I just don't think he belongs in the top 10. It's just my opinion. Then the IBF, Bertabiev has titles for the WBO, IBF, and WBC. The number 1 and 2 positions are vacant, but then Pascal is still holding steady. I think he's going to move down once they update these rankings. I don't see Pascal, how he's holding the number 3 in the WBO and the number 3 in the IBF. It just doesn't make any sense to me, seeing that he just took a loss. But this Dan Aziz, he's bubbling up in these weight divisions. You can see Aziz has moved up 3 places in the WBO to the number 4. He's moved up 2 places in the IBF to the number 7. He moved up 3 places in the WBC to the number 2, and he's held steady the number 2 position for the WBA. So the 175-pound division has some big names in here, some big fights to be made, but I just can't wait till they make the damn undisputed. Stop taking it to the stupid and just make the undisputed. Super middleweight, Canelo Alvarez, again, probably one of the 4 most interesting divisions. Definitely bubbling. It's getting hotter and hotter, man. Canelo's the big dog, Benavidez, Plant, Mbili, Ryder, Morrell, Bazinian, Durrell, Shishkin, Parker, Akhmedov. The one thing I notice about here, when you look at the WBO for the 168-pound division, you see they dropped Caleb Plant out the rankings. Caleb Plant's not even in the top 15 for the WBO. They just dropped him out. He's holding steady in that number 3 position, but once the IBF updates their rankings, I'm sure he'll drop down from the number 3 position. He's gone down 3 positions from the WBC. Caleb Plant's now ranked number 4. And he is down 4 positions from the WBA. Caleb Plant's now ranked number 5. Now, what this shows you is that fighters, man, that's why nobody wants to fight. then nobody wants to take a loss, because when you take a loss, this is what happens. You get dropped out the damn rankings, or you get, moved down the ladder. And when you look at it, how the hell is Demetrius Andre ranked number 1 by the WBO, but then they dropped Caleb Plant out the rankings? How's Berlanga ranked above Caleb Plant? It's crazy. But they're not fighting, so their record stays intact. And I mean, they hold their position, which I just think is horrible. Caleb Plant's out here fighting. He fought Benavidez. Just because he lost, they shouldn't drop him out the damn rankings. You come and look across the board at how they have these ranking stacks for the IBF, WBC, and WBA. It just proves a point to these fighters who don't want to get in there and fight the best, because this type of stuff that happens to them is really unfair. In the middleweights at 160, Golovkin needs to figure out what he's going to do, man. Because the Golovkin, he's just, look, this man needs to just go on about his business, in my opinion. They got him ranked number 1. I just don't agree with that. Then Munguia number 2, Alim Kanuli 3, Adames, who I hear is an extremely ferocious puncher, ranked number 4, Liam Smith 5, Derevinchenko, who hasn't fought in forever, still holding tight at 6, Lara, whose legs are gone, ranked 7, got his Cash guy ranked 8, Eubank Jr. 9, and Nursultanov ranked 10. When you look at the breakdown, Golovkin's still ranked number 1 for the WBO. He should be fighting Alim Kanuli, but Golovkin doesn't seem to want to fight his fellow countrymen. You got Munguia at number 3. Pretty interesting, but nothing jumps out at me. But they did drop Eubank Jr. out the rankings for the WBO. They dropped out a couple other names, but the big name that got my attention was Eubank Jr. They kicked him to the curb. And for the IBF, they got Zarafa. They dropped Murata dropped out. The IBF world. Oh damn! The IBF title is vacant now. So the IBF title is vacant, man. Okay. Well, I need to do my research, see who's gonna be fighting for that IBF title. So the middleweight division, the IBF title is vacant. Then for the WBC, you still have Jamal holding tight to that. Adames is right on his neck, trying to get a fight with Charlo, but we know Charlo has some ups and downs going on, and Lara's still holding the title over at the WBA. So let's go on down here to the next one. The super welterweights. You got Jamel Charlo, who's the man. Tim Tszyu, number 1. Castaño 2, Fundora 3. Which I'm sure Fundora is going to fall out of here somewhere. That giraffe just got tranquilized. Lubin 4, Kurbanov 5, Liam Smith 6, Madrimov 7, Ramos 8, Harrison. I'm sure he's going to fall out of here. I think he's retired anyway. Then Conwell at number 10. But when you take a look at the racking stack, let's see any movements. Josh Kelly moved up 2 places. Xander Zayas moved up a place. David Papat moved up 2 places. So you can see there's some movement, definitely. This guy, Haro Matevosian for the IBF, moved up 3 places. Everybody else, for the most part, is holding their ground. And you can see Jesus Ramos has bubbled up 2 spots for the WBC. Everyone else kind of held their ground. Lubin went down 1 spot in the WBC. For the WBA, nothing that really got my attention. But Tony Harrison for the WBO, they dropped him out of their rankings for that beatdown that he took out there in Australia. They also dropped Tim Tszyu out of their rankings as well. I'm sure there's a reason for that, because Tim Tszyu's an interim world champion. That's probably why. Now for the welterweights, there's so much going on here, I'm not even going to kill your brain with it. But right now, the big dog in the division, as far as the ring ranking, Spence at 1, Crawford 2, Ennis 3, which I don't agree with that, but it is what it is. Hughes 4, Ortiz Jr. 5, Stanley Unis, Thurman. Don't quite agree with him still being in there. Butiev, Crowley, Evanescent. When I look at this, did anything get my attention? Well, the fact that Chikhadzian, they dropped him out of the WBO ranking. Rashidi Ellis Rashidi Ellis moved up 4 spots in the WBO. Santiago moved up 1 spot. Hughes moved up 4 spots. Leapfrog Blair Cobb. Now that's just horrible how they're doing Blair Cobb. But whatever, man. These guys just leapfrogging Blair Cobb. Come on. They don't want to give Blair Cobb an opportunity at all. Come over to the IBF. Earl Spence is the big dog. Boots Ennis is the interim champion. And I have a feeling Boots Ennis is going to be elevated to the IBF World Welterweight champion, no longer the interim, because I have a feeling Earl Spence is going to give up that title. Then you come down, you got Villa, but nothing really that got my attention on here. Alexis Rocha dropped out. That's because Rocha he's the something champion for the WBO. He picked up some little weird intercontinental WBO intercontinental champion, but some belt he picked up. Probably why they dropped him out. The WBC is all jacked up. All jacked up. Corruption all over the place. Bottom line though, Spencer's still the big man. Thurman's the mandatory as of 6 April. Cody Crowley moved up a spot. Hughes went down 1 spot. Hughes and Barris are supposed to be fighting. Conor Ben bubbled up 1 spot to the number 6 position. But the takeaway here, forget all these other bodies. It's the WBC. They're going to be making some fights that y'all is going to blow you all's minds. And I'm not saying in a good way. You're going to sit there and get frustrated because they're going to be making fights that it's just not going to make sense. Because if you got a mandatory to Earl Spence and him and Crawford on fighting, Thurman should have been fought him. Like, I think most of us would agree. Thurman and Spence should have fought a long time ago. This is bullcrap what's going on. But if Spence and Crawford aren't going to fight, and Spence doesn't want to fight, then bubble Keith Thurman up to the WBC World Welterweight Champion again. You know what I'm saying? Spence is going to go to 154. Bubble everywhere he has a belt, and you have somebody who's either a world champion, an interim champion, or the mandatory, then bubble them up and make them the world champion of that sanctioning body. But don't let Earl Spence keep holding these damn belts. This is just getting out of control. Down at the super lightweight, man, Josh Taylor's the big dog. Then you got Prograis, Ramirez, Matias, Catterall, Barbosa, Cepeda, Russell, Ergashev, Puello, and then Lopez. I think the big takeaway here is Lopez and Josh Taylor are going to be fighting. I think Taylor smokes him. That's just me. Puello is going to be fighting Rolly Romero. I think Rolly Romero may pick up a title. Puello doesn't get tired. He can fight, but he just doesn't hit that hard. I think Rolly can knock him out. Very interesting fight. Matias is still out here looking for a fight. A lot of people are afraid to fight him. He's extremely strong. But the thing that I picked up on, and I hope the other fighters picked up on, is he's left-handed. And that's why he fights orthodox. That's why when he throws that hook, he hurts people. But if they can take that away from him, he's a sitting duck. Just like most fighters who are converted and they just don't have that steam on their weaker hand. And they end up getting themselves in trouble when their opponent knows how to take away the strong hand. But when we look at the rack and stack, Comey moved up 1 position. Sandon Martin moved up 1 position in the WBO. And it doesn't look like anybody quite dropped out. They have their 15 and they're good, but Jack Carroll dropped 10 positions. It's crazy. For the IBF, wow, Matias dropped out and Brandon Lee dropped out as well. But that's probably because Matias is the IBF World Junior Welterweight Champion, so it doesn't make sense to have him ranked when he's the champion. For the WBC, nobody dropped out, but you got some guys who have dropped down a little bit. Lipin Yates is still holding tight at he's at number 5. He went down 1 position from number 4, but nothing to really talk about there except that Regis Prograis is the big dog with the WBC. I just hope he gets a big fight. I know he's had some issues over there, Pro Bellum, and no longer being promoted by those guys, and Pro Bellum going under. And Alberto Puello is going to be fighting Rolando Romero, who's ranked number 6 now. Isn't that amazing how it works? When you have the right people behind you, Rolly can just go from 135 and bubble up to the number 6 spot in the WBA and get a shot at Alberto Puello for a title. Isn't that amazing how it works? Boxing politics at its finest, but I'm not hating on him. And then down at lightweight, I'll go ahead and you guys kind of have an idea what's going on there, so I'm not going to deep dive into anything. But the ranking stack right now is Haney is the ring big dog, then Lomachenko at 1. Then following Lomachenko is Davis, Garcia, Cruz, Martin, Cambosos Jr., Zepeda, Hughes, Yoshino, and then Jermaine Ortiz at number 10. And Jermaine Ortiz, to me, he is here. He's the problem. He's the one people are sleeping on. That guy Jermaine Ortiz, I'm telling you, I think he beats most of these guys on here. Not everybody, but he's a guy, man, who's a live dog in any fight. People are sleeping on him. If you don't know who he is, you need to go and watch that fight where he fought Lomachenko to get a better idea of what he brings to the table. Come down to the featherweights, 130. The big takeaway here is that I think O'Shaquie Foster and Chris Colbert, I like to see those two fight. I think O'Shaquie Foster beats everybody at the 130-pound division. Every single person, I think O'Shaquie Foster beats him. Down at featherweight at 126, well, we all got a pretty good fight in Vargas and Magsayo. But Figueroa is just a beast. But at 126, not much to take away there, except you got some good fights. 122 pounds. This right here is a division where we're waiting for Fulton and Inoue to get it on. Fight got pushed back to the summer. A lot of good names in here, a lot of good fighters in here. But the big takeaway is Fulton and Inoue to reschedule for the summer. And I can't wait to see that fight. Down at bantamweight, Donaire is still plugging along. And it's interesting to me because Nonito Donaire, no kidding, on a good day, can beat every single person who's ranked in the top 10 for the bantamweight division. Cruise on down to super flyweights, 115 pounds. Chocolito's still hanging around. But a lot of good fights to be made here. These guys are just super small. But, excuse me, 112 pounders, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't really keep up with these small guys. You know, there's the Vic Darchinyan days are over for me. But they got some guys here who are scrapping, man. But I don't really keep up with these guys. The only one guy here who I really keep up with is Bam Rodriguez because I just can't believe the way that guy fights, man. Absolutely blew my mind to watch him fight. Then you get down to really lightweight, 108 pounds, man. And I'll let you guys do your due diligence and check out the 108 pounders, 105 pounders, and yeah, that's it. But that being said, a lot going on in boxing. But be paying attention to these heavyweights because, man, they got this little crazy tournament that's supposed to be popping off end of this year. And I'm looking forward to it just like you all. That was supposed to be a 5-minute video, went a little bit longer. But at least you got an idea to take a look and see what's going on across all the weight divisions. That being said, y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.